Sure. If I ignore you, just no.
Okay, guys, all happy?
Yeah.
All
good, let's go.
Yeah.
And we're speeding.
All right. So first of all, talk about that, because last I talked to you guys was when this all kind of was kicking off. You're about to go on the whole world tour. How natural did it all feel once things really got into motion and the five of you guys were up there doing your thing?
I think there was one weird moment really before. Well, it was before we got on stage in Japan, the very first show, when we got together, and we suddenly realised that we're standing there right on the brink of something, and the minute we walked on stage and played the first note, we jumped off the cliff, and from then it just seemed so natural and so right. We slipped right in with each other, and it feels very good and very easy.
Yeah, it's felt like the most natural thing in the world, and it's quite incredible that we've managed to get five guys back together after 15 years apart or something, and we've actually made it work again. I mean, you imagine going back to hanging out with your school friends and trying to do something with them again. It's a pretty tall order, so it's a bit of a miracle, really, that the whole thing's taken off the way it has, and we're still great friends, and it's been a great journey.
Have you had those kind of conversations amongst yourselves about it being a miracle throughout this thing? Like, wow, this is working, or is it just felt so natural you haven't had to?
You kind of, it would seem, I think, self-indulgent to kind of sit there thinking, wow, this is amazing. We can get on so well with each other. So we just tend to just do the job. And there's a lot to do. We don't really have time to sit around and sort of mull it over and sort of look at it, look at where we are. There's way too much to get done.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been a very forward-looking band. We never try to look back. I mean, people say to me, do you watch your old videos and listen to the early albums? I never do, because we're always, I think all of us are always looking forward and trying to look at the next thing that's going to happen. And I think once you start focusing on what's happened too much, it's kind of the end of the line. So it's all about looking forward, and it makes it exciting.
And this DVD is very forward in lots of ways. You're going to even have the new music from Astronaut as part of it, but technology-wise and the whole 3D thing, a lot of it's just a lot of fun, and it is looking forward in lots of ways. How much of that do you guys have a part of in terms of putting this DVD together?
Well, we obviously were the focus of the of the DVD itself, but the special effects and all the extra kind of features are things that have been that Jack and the team have come up with. Things like the 3D song and the commentary, which I think is great, and the documentary, which is really well put together. I mean, that was all their idea. We just supplied them with the raw material.
Sure. And you guys don't want to look back. Is there a sense of having to kind of top what you did before? Because you guys were at the forefront of so many things years ago. This has to at least reach that level. You guys think about that? Is there a nervousness to?
Well, I don't think it's a nervousness. I think it's a great form of quality control, because we know that everything that we release, whether it be an album, whether it's a DVD, whether it's a performance we're giving, it has to be a very high standard, because people are always ready to say, well, they were great. They were a great band, but they're not so great these days. So it's a great form of quality control, and we're always very aware of our past and what is expected of us.
Watching this thing, watching the DVD in the finished form, how proud are you guys of what you guys have achieved in so many ways in terms of the music and the stage show you guys still put on?
Well, I guess it brings home to you the songs we've written and how well they've lasted, more than anything. You listen to Hungry Like the Wolf and Rio and Girls on Film, songs that we wrote over 20 years ago, and see how they still affect people and still make us excited to hear them. That's the real achievement that comes out of it for us.
And the new song's fitting right in. What does that feel like, knowing that you guys are still writing stuff of the same caliber?
That's been one of the great things, actually, is to go out there and hear a bigger cheer for Sunrise, Reach Up for the Sunrise, as for Rio, and that's such a great sense of achievement for us, because we could have so easily been a band that just goes out and churns out all the old songs, and it's been great that this side of the whole thing has been a success, the new material, and it's very satisfying as an artist to just still achieve that.
How well do you know your audience? How well do you know which songs they're going to be screaming the most for, and how they're going to be reacting during a show during certain parts of it, or how much of it's still surprising?
But you think you know them. You think you know them when you walk out on stage or when you put new songs into the set. But you just don't really know them until you play that stuff and see what they do. You have an idea. This is going to be great because it's really funky. They'll be dancing to this, and they'll probably sit down for this song, and you go on stage, and it's not like that at all. You only really know when you're there in front of them.
Mm-hmm. And how is touring different for you guys now than it was years ago? You guys, I don't know how much of that was real to begin with, but have the jet set image, and you guys traveling the world and doing your thing. How much of that is still a part of your life, or like people to think is part of your life?
I mean, at an everyday level, it's not changed that much. I mean, it's basically still the same life. You know, we're traveling every day, you know, always on aeroplanes, always traveling. So that hasn't changed. But I think we're much, you know, mature people now. We handle it a lot better now. And everything's about the show now. You know, it used to be actually the party was kind of as important as the show sometimes. But now the show's everything. And we save our energy for it, you know. It's all about channeling energy in the right direction. Because we play for over 2 hours.
The party's on stage now, really. It's
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
yeah. And it's a lot more fun because we really are the centre of attention.
Yeah.
How have your fans changed? When you look out at the audience, how have your fans changed? And a lot of this DVD, there's a lot of fans taking pictures of you throughout the whole thing. It's kind of fun looking at them and the posters and the signs.
Well, I mean, I think there's obvious ways they've changed. I mean, we started off, well, when we very first started, we were a club band. We had a club audience, which was in itself which was quite elitist. We had a very elite cult kind of following to begin with. Then we kind of exploded onto the pop scene, and we attracted basically a teenage girl following. 85% teenage girls it was. And we come off stage going, God, most guys in the audience yet. You know, you still sort of see 4 or 5 fellas there, or a few more. Now I think we've got a lot of people who've grown up, a lot of guys who didn't come and see us the first time because we were just a girls band, and then there's this kind of this very interesting to us kind of layer of new fans who are some of them are teenagers. You know, they're getting into the band for the first time, and it's whether they've got turned on to the band because their brothers and sisters got them into it, or their parents got them into it, or they just like to be interested in something that other kids of their age aren't into. But they're there for us, and that's very exciting.
When you put all those elements together, the first thing I think of is just how many millions of people just still want to see you guys, and how many new fans just leads to just enormous success. So you guys just, because riding the wave, this probably won't stop anytime soon, because so many people still love Duran Duran.
Yeah, I mean, we feel as though we're on a roll. It's you know, it's getting better and better. We when we did the reunion thing, we started at small theatres and clubs. I mean, you were there at the Roxy. I know it was very small audiences, and it's just kind of rebuilt over the last 4 years. It's been like a new band. We went straight back to our roots in a way, and it's built in all the right ways. You know, when Madison Square Garden was back on the schedule earlier this year.
For the first time since 1984.
Yeah.
That was a real big one for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
That's what I was thinking of too when watching this DVD, because I was at the '84 show at the Forum here and seeing that same kind of crowd, and you guys looking just as good and doing all the same moves. It must be kind of a pride in pulling that off and still looking great. Does it take extra work? It doesn't look like it on stage. Does it take extra stamina? I mean, as far as just being fit to play, we kind of build up to it over the course of rehearsals and the warm-up shows and the tour. I mean, it takes about a month to get really fit for the stage, and the only way you can do it is by running around for 2 hours every night.
Exactly, it's a bit like boxing.
Playing the drums for 2 hours
you can practice and practice and practice, or rehearse, but it's really getting on stage. And we've done must have done near 100 shows this year, and it's that really gets you in shape and keeps the band ticking. And this band has always been about doing live shows. I mean, people tend to think of us as a video band, you know, that was born in the video age, but we've always been a rock band, actually, that can get up there and play, and I think that's why we're still out there doing it now. Well,
I think that's one great thing that this DVD we've released is going to show people, is how much of a live band we are.
How great you sound, how great your vocals sound. Live, back when Arena came out, people were saying, these guys are great, and they can sing and everything's great, because there was a lot of that, it was just the girly stuff going on then, and now it kind of reaffirms this 20 years on that you guys sound better than ever. So
yeah, thank you.
Are there certain songs that you're never going to not play, or there's certain songs you've no interest ever playing?
We'll play pretty well anything from the back. There's one song we tend to keep away from. It's like our...
What, My Own Way?
Yeah. It's like the,
We
the
actually
naughty
kind of
child
play-
that never gets to go out. You know?
It's the chorus. The chorus is just a bit. It's kind of.
It's strange. It's the one
Standard.
single that we never play live. It's
Yeah.
like,
But I like the verse. I saw you at the air race yesterday. That's cool.
yeah. I mean, it was
That-
a hit
that's good.
record. It was a number 10
Yeah.
in the top 10 in England.
I'm not prejudiced against it actually. So I think
I think
it's
you're the
most of
only
it.
one.
Most of really. I think I
Yeah.
feel a lot of angst about it from Nick and John.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And certain songs that no matter what, I'm sure a lot of your catalog with when that song hits, I'm sure there's probably 10 or 12. Is there a certain song personally for you guys that just mean the most to you?
It's difficult to choose them because they we put our heart and soul into them when we wrote them, and we put our heart and soul into them every time we play them. So to say there's one favourite one, I mean, you tend to be more kind of excited by your most recent material
Sure.
because it's new to us. You know, we've been and it's so when we went out and played. Actually, what I really loved playing last year or this year on the tour, and we only brought it in towards the very end of the tour, was Still Breathing. I thought that was really great. And it's a difficult song to perform because on all levels it's
a tricky one.
tricky, isn't it, that one? And for you because of the way the beat is, it's so sparse, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so exact. And for me, the vocals are very low, so it's hard to sing that.
Well, we have a great audience. We have a very receptive audience. And they'll kind of stand there and, they'll really accept anything that we play. I mean, obviously some stuff goes down a lot better, but it's a very receptive audience and a lively audience as well. I mean, people come to dance and enjoy themselves. We played it again going back to Madison Square Garden. By the end of the show, everybody in the whole place was dancing. And that, to me, that's a real achievement for guys of our age to get out there and make our whole place move.
Leslie, looking forward, what's left for you guys to kind of accomplish and achieve? When you guys sit around and talk, is there still any goals at all?
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, being around and making another record is a great goal for us. It doesn't have to be sort of a mountain that's never been climbed before. You just I think carrying on and doing what you do and just making it that little bit better is enough of a goal for us. It's a lot of fun doing it. We don't really need to set ourselves goals. That's the other thing. Just to be able to do it in itself is it's so satisfying. It's so much fun, and it's what we do.
Very good. You do it well.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk about
Yeah, that's all I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm just
So-
waiting for when it arrives. No one ever tells us.
Right.
It'll just arrive one day and we'll see someone with it and say, hey, you stand up. Can I borrow that for a minute? Yeah.
It's always amazing to me how close that stuff comes to street date when it's finally
Yeah, ridiculous.
done and ready, but it's the way it works.
Okay, we're rolling this.
You know,
Yeah, we
So-
stay back this way.
Sure, yeah, we're on wheels. Yeah.
Good.
So last time I talked to you guys was right when this all kind of kicked off, when you guys did the Roxy show here in town, and talk about once things really started rolling, how natural it all felt for you guys to be back up there, the five of you doing your thing.
It's been a pretty amazing few years for us. When we got back together, we had no clue what would happen. We started writing a little bit. That went pretty well. And then we said, time to go and play some shows. First one was in Tokyo. We walked on stage and it's just this sea of people there and an incredible affection that I don't think we'd probably realized how deep that ran. People from all over the world had come to the show. And then from there onwards, we just kept going and going and going and playing more, finished the album. It went a lot better than we could have ever imagined.
Mm-hmm. Was there trepidation? Was there a thought that, hey, maybe this wasn't going to work? You knew there'd be a certain built-in fan base that was going to carry you guys through, right?
Yeah, of course. I don't think anybody, can feel 100% confident about their career when it's, it doesn't matter what you do. I think once we got on the road, there was a feeling like, we're good at this, and there was a validation that we were getting from the audience. Did you just use that word?
Validation?
Yes.
No, you can use it today.
Okay, thanks. So once we got in that groove, that gave us confidence to then go back to the studio and write the right songs for our album. By the time we were doing this British tour, I suppose we felt that we'd gotten it back together enough that we could go out and play really the arena tour that was where we left off as a five. It was really the same tour that we'd done in '84, but you know, we were bringing in some new material, and yeah, I mean, it was, you know, I think by the time, you know, we're doing this show, you know, our confidence is as high as it ever needs to be.
How cool was it
Before
knowing?
you ask,
Yeah.
do you want me to push for any singles? Or do you want me to just
If
do a
it works,
two-shot? Yeah, yeah.
two shot, they're nice and tight. So you know,
Okay.
do your
Yeah.
thing, whatever you want. Yeah. Talk about the new material fitting in so well with the old stuff. What kind of kick is it that for you guys, knowing that it's working so well and these songs are holding up and these new ones are as good as anything you guys ever wrote before?
When we first got back together, we sort of made a pact that we were going to write, and we did. So by the time we got onto the road, we had a whole bunch of songs that hadn't been released yet, and it was an ideal opportunity to try them out. I mean, the couple of songs that have made it onto the live DVD from the Astronaut album are What Happens Tomorrow and Reach Up for the Sunrise, which ended up becoming the first couple of singles off the album. But we really did road test them and find out what worked. As you'll hear on the album, particularly with What Happens Tomorrow, it's a completely different version than really ended up on the record. Mm-hmm. So it was exciting, and they did integrate very well. The earlier stuff had really stood up. Things like Girls on Film and Planet Earth sounded really contemporary. I suppose when we first did them, we were playing around with technology and trying to create our own sound. But since then, technology spread throughout music into everything, into hip-hop, into obviously all the new bands that are out there, are using the same things that we really used then. And so it sounded very natural and contemporary.
Mm-hmm. Is there a standard you guys have to kind of, since you guys set the bar so many years back, to kind of rise up to that challenge and surpass what you guys did before? Or do you think about things along those lines when you put out a new DVD or when you're writing new songs? Like, God, this has to be good because people expect only the best.
Well, I think we have expectations, you know, for ourselves, and you know, we're aware of all that, but it's really about, you know, it's not really about any one of us. It's just a song either lives, you know, or it doesn't, you know, and you know, generally, yeah, I mean, for a song to survive, for it to get finished, everybody's got to love it.
Mm-hmm. What songs do you guys still love? Are there certain songs that are closest to your heart that you play night after night for the fans, but certain songs that you would always be playing no matter what?
Well, funnily enough, I mean, the ones that are close to us when we play a live show are the ones that go down great with the audience. People often say, oh, are you tired of playing these old songs? Or, well, no, we swap them around all the time. We're lucky enough to have a catalogue that's pretty deep, and so we can dig around and find different songs. Hits obviously go down better with audiences than songs they don't know. Having said that, we feel pretty lucky with our audience because they like to go on a journey, I think, when we play the show, and they'll definitely allow us to meander off in the middle somewhere into some of the more obscure album tracks. And that's always an exciting moment for us on stage. We played some things that we'd never played before, from the first album and the third album, and it really it makes the show much more dynamic if you mix it around.
Mm-hmm. How well do you guys know your audience? Are you still surprised by the people that come to the shows, or the things that they do, or which songs they react to? Is there still a certain surprise every night that you guys don't expect?
Yeah, there are always surprises. I mean, you get pretty good at reading. I mean, how many shows have we done this year? 70 or something?
More than that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you get pretty good at reading, you know, what, you try to stay a little bit ahead of them, but you try to satisfy them. I mean, it's, you know, it's, you want to give the people what they want. Well, you want to give them more than what they think they want, actually.
Mm-hmm. And watching this, I was reminded of seeing you guys back at the Forum in '84, and in a good way, just how well you guys still look, how great the songs sound, how the stuff is still up there. Is that, are you guys proud of that fact, that you guys still pull this off with flying colors and add the fresh of all the new fresh things and new songs? Or?
Well, when we got back together and we started playing the old songs for the first time, I think we were all pretty proud of what we'd got. As I say, the catalogue has got so many things in it now. We've written so many songs between us that it was hard to put together the show, to try and condense it to 2 hours, which is a great problem to have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Is it harder keeping up the stamina? Is it just something you get into after a couple months, or is it?
No, there's pedigree dog food. That's good for the stamina. You know, I think the difference is now is that we're all so freaking complex, you know, and we've all got quite complex lives, and you just never know when it's going to be the last show, you know. I mean, like, we're all in it, and we're all totally committed to what we do, but you just never know, you know. There's a certain, I guess it comes from being old enough to appreciate, you know, mortality and you know, and it's sort of moods, and the fact that we have all broken up, that we have, you know, just when you didn't expect it, somebody chose to leave, or even one made the decision oneself, you know. So I think that forces us into the moment, and it just forces us to really, really play it like we mean it, you know. That we all want to be the absolute best we can be. You know, it's not we're not on this gravy train. We don't have this gravy train attitude, like, you know, just yeah. We're really, there's a lot of real vitality and, you know, drive.
Do you allow yourself to have these kind of conversations together, or is this kind of an unsaid fact of the band?
I think it's fairly implicit between us that we know that what we have is only ever going to be as strong as the five of us together, and if somebody's not pulling their weight, if you like, whether it's a song or whether we're playing live, then we all suffer for it. So in a way we try and pull each other up to the bar and to that level, and that's very much what happens with the shows. I mean,
or pull each other down.
depending upon who's doing the pulling, of course. But that's very much what happened with the shows. I mean, when we started putting it together, I mean, John and I have always sort of worked together on staging and lighting and video and things like that, and we had a lot of fun with this show, because we actually drew it. It was very Spinal Tap. We drew the stage set on the back of a magazine on an aeroplane one day. Yeah, let's have a round stage. We've never had one of those before. And well, what about if we have some screens and a round lighting rig, and we'll have 2 Ds on the stage. And it was funny seeing that come from this scribbled little drawing that we'd made, and actually then walking into the first day of production and going, wow, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. That's the thing we drew.
But there's a confidence from experience when you guys know you can. Obviously, the scribbles are from talent. You guys know you can pull this off.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the fun things about this particular job is that, you know, we're musicians, and that's, you know, what people think of us as. But you do get to kind of, you know, you get to sort of do a bit of art directing and a bit of styling, a bit of photography. You know, you kind of get to exercise those.
We cover quite a lot between us. I mean, John designed the cover with Paddy Palazzo for this DVD, which is great. I love that we can do that in-house. Watch out, designers. Yeah. We can do it.
Even with all your success before, are these things you couldn't have imagined pulling off during the initial heyday of Duran Duran? There's certain things you weren't allowed to.
I think today we're just so much more conscious. You know, we're so much more aware. I mean, we did a lot of stuff back then, but it was such a blur because we were also moving so quickly. I think we're very careful now. We have very intense work periods, and then everybody goes home for 10 days. You know, and then we're very keen to get back together. We miss each other, and we're looking forward to spending time working together. Very intense, chill out a little bit, and it kind of has to be like that. You know, the 80s, towards the end of the